So with forecasted inflation in the high teens, early 20% for 2023, am I looking to accumulate more gold or silver or both to protect my cash from inflation? Gold is certainly that great vehicle, and for us here in the UK, it has actually been beating inflation. But for those in the US, it's been a little bit of a liability. Everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and welcome to another Precious Metal Ramble. Inflation is a big concern and it's on a lot of people's minds at the moment. And gold and silver have traditionally been this wealth preservation tool that you can use to protect your money against the devaluation of your currency via inflation. But is that really true? Is it something that we can depend upon? When you look at the figures in US dollars, gold has gone down in the last 12 months. And of course, inflation has gone up quite considerably. And with forecasted inflation of nearly 18% here in the UK for 2023, we're certainly considering some of the options in the Backyard Bullion household of more gold ownership. In fact, I was asked in one of my comment sections of my videos last week, am I considering increasing my budget for 2022-2023 with the rising rates of inflation and potential for 18, 19, 20% inflation rates in 2023? So we're going to talk through my thoughts on gold as it relates to inflation and protecting one's wealth, because whilst it's a really good vehicle, and don't get me wrong, it's fantastic if you are going to hold it for a long time, over a shorter period, it can not be an inflation protection tool. And I know that sounds strange, but it really is about the long-term wealth preservation of this. And if you're going to be relying on short-term swings in markets to keep the buying power of the gold that you've got, or putting it in silver, you might be in for a little bit of a surprise. So don't always just assume that gold is going to be automatically going up at the same rate or higher than inflation. All you've got to do is look at the US dollar values of gold over this last 12 months. And as I said, it's gone down quite considerably over that time period, but nowhere near as much as, of course, as silver. Traditionally, gold is seen as this more safe haven asset, this one that we can rely on, we can put our cash in. Yankee Stacking, a great silver and gold YouTube content creator here on YouTube, said an incredible thing once, which is that gold is the currency of nations and silver is the currency of us paupers, or us little lowlings in the bottom end of it. And unfortunately for a lot of people, gold seems to be out of reach. It's this unobtainable metal because of its price. I disagree. I think, okay, yes, there is this argument that it is more expensive, but if you've got a certain budget, a couple $100, let's say, you can still get gold. It's just fractional gold. You've got to be clever about what you buy and what premiums you have on that gold, but generally speaking, gold is a much better vehicle to protect your wealth. And the case study that I'm going to cite here now is for the UK. So you've only got to look at gold versus silver over this last 12 months to really understand that gold has kept up, in fact, beaten inflation. Gold is up 12.5% over this last year. So if you had bought a bunch of gold at the start of, this 12-month cycle and then sold it today, you would have got 12% back, you would have beaten inflation. Now, you would argue there could be other investments out there that could make you a better return, but gold has never been this, yes, you're going to make loads of cash on it like you would a stock or a share. It's a long-term hold, like I said at the start of the video. But in the UK, it has helped us. Silver, on the other hand, has gone down quite a lot, in fact. And you've only got to look at the relative price for the premiums on gold versus silver to understand that actually, if you do want to preserve your wealth over this short term, gold for us in the UK has been the vehicle of choice, and it's certainly been my vehicle of choice over this last year. I've been focusing much more on accumulating gold. Yes, I'm still buying the odd bit of silver that I can get here and there, but these are very much that I like to think of all my silver as gold in waiting. So I'm playing a hedge on this. I like to have a slightly higher risk portfolio for what I buy and stack, because ultimately I'm not anywhere close to needing to cash out on a lot of this stuff, and I'm sitting here waiting for the opportune moment. I've got the luxury of that. I'm very fortunate to have that luxury, and not a lot of people do have that. But if you are in that position, then silver right now theoretically could be a good buy. And I'm going to be doing a video on the whole relationship between the ratio of gold and silver With the premiums right now, pretty much 100 to 1 is where you're looking at for silver and gold, if not higher because of some of the premiums out there on some of this stuff. But that's historically been an interesting question that a lot of people think, if you get back down to those historic levels, silver will be the single greatest investment that you could make. But I completely disagree. I think gold is the way to protect your wealth. Now, of course, it's all relative to the currency that you are purchasing it in and the money that you've got in your bank account in whatever country that you are in. For those of you in the US, of course, we're seeing really big drops in gold and silver, which is, of course, at odds with a lot of what you hear and say and see out here on YouTube land and in the world of all of the opinionated articles of bullion dealers and people who are basically sharing hype and hysteria. I've no doubt that I've looked at the charts this morning. We've seen a little drop in silver. So, of course, you're going to start to see all of the insert hyperinflated clickbait titles here style videos about silver, about it being manipulated down, about the Fed, about all of those silly conspiracy theories which are going to make silver great at some point in the future. But I'm yet to see it. Now, a lot of people also argue that the premium that you look to buy silver on at the moment is the true price of silver. But ultimately, that's not the case. We are looking at silver and gold being this sort of slow burner investment vehicle. Just because there are these high premiums currently attached to certain bits of silver does not mean that's the true market price of it. That's just what people are willing to pay. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there who are really just willing to pay anything because they firmly believe this, for want of a better phrase, outright lies that silver will really just suddenly turn a corner and go up to the moon. It is not going to happen. If it was something that was very likely to happen, do you not think that a lot of the other big institutions around the world would be very much on that bandwagon? That's the big question to ask. So if you're going out there and you're buying 40% over silver spot for silver eagles, or 50% even, I've seen higher, in fact, from various dealers, then you're making a big mistake because you can get silver out there for very low premiums. This, for us in the UK, is not the case, but in the US, you can get big 100-ounce bars of silver for 4 or 5% over spot price, which is really very, very cheap compared with some of those other big premium items that you find for silver. Now, for the US, of course, we've seen the dollar and all of the woes around the dollar, and it's propping up. And, relative to the rest of the world, in any kind of financial crisis, you get this flocking to the US dollar, which has in some ways strengthened it and weakened other currencies, which is one of the reasons why, relative to the UK, we have seen this gold price keep up with inflation. But as with all things, I think there will be a correction at some time in the not too distant future. And unfortunately, I feel that correction is going to happen for Great British pounds. So when I look forward now to 2022, the rest of 2022, 2023, I have already locked in all my gold purchases for 2022. I'm done. This is it. It's August and I'm already there, which I think in many ways speaks volumes about how I feel of inflation and where money is going to be. I would rather lock up my cash now than wait and see how it all progresses, because I do think the buying power that we have in the short term will change. But over the long term, I do feel that there will be a correction. So going into 2023, when asked with the question, am I going to be increasing my gold position, buying more gold, if I can get this coin out of the capsule to show you beautiful other side, am I going to be increasing my gold purchases and adding a lot more gold to my stack to prepare for 18% inflation? The honest answer is no. I am going to be continuing with my budget, continuing with my goals of stacking a certain amount each year. I'm not going to go above and beyond that. I feel that there's always room for both scenarios to happen, and for people just to automatically assume that we're going to have 18% inflation and it's going to get worse and worse and worse is, it's just part of how I look at things. I don't always go for the complete doom and gloom. There's a lot of positive out there in the world that doesn't get covered as much as the negative. Yes, there are a lot of really horrible things happening in terms of finances and inflation and costs of living and price increases of energy and everything out there. But ultimately, we will recover. We will get to the other side. And when we do, you'll see, unfortunately, I think some dropping off in these prices of gold and silver. Of course, inflation, the wonderful phrase transitory inflation, all inflation is ultimately transitory. Unless it gets into this hyperinflated way that we've seen for Venezuela, Zimbabwe, but let's be quite frank, that's not going to happen for the pound, for the dollar, for the euro. It's going to get hard and it's going to have a lot of devaluation over time, but it's not going to go to zero. And that's the big difference. So there will be a correction. When it will happen, nobody knows. But for me, parking some cash in gold is a good idea right now. And that's something that I think is very important for a lot of people to consider. Parking your money in silver, a little bit higher of a risk, and that is also something to consider. So if you are a new stacker, if you're somebody that is looking to get in on silver or gold right now, let me know. What are you going to buy? You know, if you're buying silver right now, why are you buying silver over gold? I personally feel gold is the much safer option. It always has been. But if you're a little bit more risk adverse, like I am, maybe you're doing a bit of both, getting a bit of silver where you can at a good price. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. As always, if you have enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. It really does help our little channel here on YouTube. And if you're not subscribed and you've watched to this point, then welcome to the Backyard Bullion Rambling Society. You are one of those wonderful people that likes to listen to me waffle on about gold and silver to the end. And for that, you are cool. We'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.